Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome to the Brahma Kumaris, the next normal. I'm your host, Sister Jenna, and I'm so thrilled to be interviewing our one and only senior brother in the USA, Brother Ram Prakash Singal, who was also a survivor of 9/11. Did you know that? And did you know that after 9/11, he started a global movement, which he's going to talk about today, to get you more involved? Let me tell you something. In my 20s, when I first met him, I was so naive and innocent and just surrendered to the whole journey of my spiritual awakening. But he was one of those souls that when you turned to him, he made everything seem like it was going to be okay. Sometimes he didn't have to say anything, and sometimes he said a lot. But no matter what, you would just look at him, and you just knew it was going to be okay. And that's going to be our special guest today. A member of the Brahma Kumaris for over 47 years, an engineer for over 30 years, a survivor of 9/11, the creator and the founder of 7 billion acts of goodness. That's who we're going to have a chit-chat and a conversation about life. I'm so excited to get into our conversation with you. You know, every time I'm with you, you make my heart happy, you make my eyes sparkle, you make my life feel big.
Yeah. See, when I come in front of you, I feel very important. I'm an important person because the person is feeling that way.
No, because it's just you. Brother Ram Prakash, everybody, this is a person who I've known for so long, and his nature has just always been so giving. Where do you get this capacity in you to... and you're not even thinking of that you're giving, but we see you're just a giver, Rampi. You just give. And even if you're getting criticized or chiseled or beaten up, you get up and you go, how can I help? Where are you pulling that strength from being such a generous person?
You know, actually it was when I came in contact with the Brahma Kumaris, I was amazed because they were telling me this knowledge is to become a deity. And I laughed because at that time I used to do all the bad things.
Like what?
Drinking, smoking, gambling, not going to school and throwing the paper balls on the teacher, giving headaches and everything. And all of a sudden they say you're going to become deity. I say, forget about becoming a deity. If I become a little bit better person, that will be good enough for me. But then what happened? Within 1 week, after I started taking the course, and everything is gone. Smoking, drinking. I became vegetarian. I stopped eating onion, garlic. And then I said, you know, being an engineer, that when you can do this much, you can do this much too. You can do this much too. So if I can change this much within 1 week, then I can do bigger thing. And that is where explorate. You know, you just see that you are able to, like we make model of a house, and then when it is everybody liking and all that, then we make the house or a prototype. So same thing I did, that maybe I can change my life around. That was my beginning of that. Then what I did, I also felt engineering is becoming obstacle because I was arguing and all that. Then I said, if I really want to enjoy the spirituality, I have to become a simple person and I have to forget I'm an engineer. In order to do that, I started to do small things. Wow. My very first thing which I started doing the pots at the center. But what I found, you know, the process that I am finding that I'm playing with water and massaging the pots, and when the pots are clean, and I feel that they are happy and giving me thanks that you made us, you know, clean. Now, but what I found was, I saw blessings coming from the little girls. That is when I learned blessings don't come only from the senior people. It can come from the smaller people too. Yeah. That was my trigger point of that you keep on doing and you do something nobody wants to do.
So tell us about that magical 7 days course, the Raj Yoga course that you took that changed your life. Because they say that, what was it? In 7 days, life comes to thing. Like you can be birthed in 7 days, or the life-giving herb of 7 days, or the world was created in 7 days. What's the 7 day course like? What can people expect?
See, I was very attentive when I was taking the course, and then they gave me a book. It has 7 days, like a chapters. I will really study and study so that when tomorrow they ask me questions, I should be able to answer them the questions. So I was very much into it. But what I started to learn, being an engineer, then you start to think a little bigger, constructive things and all that. And one thing I knew was that application, applied. So I was thinking of how can I apply in my day-to-day life. I get yoga. Okay, I do meditation, I get peace, then what? Only if I am able to use that peace in my actions, in my dealing with the people, then I could say the value. Because engineering means, like, science is information, technology is that when I use the science, so I was always with that thing. But what I found was that when I integrate spiritual energy of love and happiness, any actions I performed, I saw such a big result, so many blessings coming. I will feel so happy, like I'm playing with nature. And I also came to know body is made of 5 elements, and that represents the whole universe. I felt I am a bridge between God and nature, because God is incorporeal and nature is dead without the soul. I am soul and body together. So from God to nature, I am the in-between. I am the bridge between two. Now it is very big thing to think, right? But in my little, like a childlike kind of thing, oh, I am a bridge between God and nature.
Well, I love what you gave all the mothers and fathers about washing dishes. It's like playing with water.
So nobody has to do it.
Yeah.
And
But then, like, say, in the courses, so you were sharing with us the benefit of the course. What was it that came out particularly for you that popped you open to stop smoking, stop drinking, stop doing all of these things? What was that what was that one mark? For me, when I came into the spirituality here, it was when Baba said, you exchange chickpeas for a kingdom. And I just like, yeah, why would I be chasing after these little limited illusions when I could be in service to the world, right? So that was something that just hit me. It's like, I want my life to be of service for as much as it can be used for seva. Was it something in particular that just said, yes, this is what I need to do, this is my path?
actually, what you said was almost exactly same.
Like you
way.
too?
My thought was, when they told me I am going to become a deity, and then I said, did they use the word, if you want to become a deity, at least something you have to do.
Yeah.
Then I started to see, when I was able to kind of having the feeling there is a possibility, then I said that, if I'm going to become such a big thing, what is this smoking and drinking? And it's not good anyway. I was not having, it's not something I am, renouncing. They were detrimental for my health and everything too. So because I got something better, I did not quit smoking. It quits me.
Yeah.
It quit me, that they say, okay, I didn't feel the urge of doing it. That is where I really found that the spiritual path is not the path of reduction or not of renunciation. It is a path of addition, adding and adding. And that is where, because of that thing, and the final thing what I really felt was, with human beings, you hit the floor sooner or later. The relationship will go high and high and high, and then you start to expectation. As soon as the expectations begin, the relationship start to go down. But with God, I am dealing with ocean. I will never hit the floor the way I hit the floor one time in the swimming pool. I took a dive. But with God, I will never hit my head with the floor. That was, I still remember, it was like 12 o'clock at night. All of a sudden, I felt, oh, I am dealing with the ocean and who will never let me down. That was my starting point, where I started to just see never more questions. Now it is just I am going to do magic as God is magician.
It's funny that we share the same sentiments,
Yeah.
because I feel that when you come to this large energy, it as a vibration, you're supposed to add to your life. And one of the things that I have observed with people when they come into meditation or spirituality, this is an observation, I'm not making a judgment, but they get less, they do less. They sit and they say, oh, well, I have God, so I'm doing this, or they don't seem to want to be creative anymore or courageous. They reduce their capacity. Is that accurate, or is it just it's their part to play, or maybe they are working at a much deeper level than maybe I am for sure? But I always feel like they should be doing more now, because when you're with the God energy, that's when your love gets bigger. That's when your purity shines brighter. That's when your creativity is out the roof. That's when you fall, you have the courage to get back up again in a way that you don't waste time. That's, to me, when you're connected to that source, that happens. But I've observed that sometimes they stop taking care of their health. They stop mixing with people. They become sometimes critical and judgmental against outside people who are over there. Is that accurate?
You know, actually, it's very difficult to make this judgment, because
Yeah.
when you're comparing and all that, each one has their own destination, each
Right.
one think their own way. But what I find with myself, I came from humble background,
Right.
and I didn't have any confidence in me. Honestly, I felt my life was worth nothing. Really, I could not do anything. But here, by doing small things, I am getting so much love from everybody. So I do this, I get that much, then I want to do more and more. So when we see other people, sometimes I find that when they have more, they get into the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And what I learned was sometimes less is better than more.
Yeah.
Because when you have less, you struggle for every little thing.
Yes.
Because everybody is looking for love. But some people, supposing they are nice and they are eloquent and they are good looking or something, so people will give them pass for many, many mistakes they do. But if I have to get love, I have to work for it. But in the process of doing things extra,
Yeah.
you keep on becoming wiser, you keep on becoming more efficient, and sooner or later, people love what you do. Who cares how you look,
Yes.
or what your words are?
Yeah.
Or so that is what I learned. In the long run, your good deeds make you
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Good deed makes you popular with the world. And so because of that thing, I just kept going on and on and on from small things. All of a sudden, people started to call me big. Actually, I did not never know that I have become senior, or I have become like even successes.
But you don't care about that, but it's just what people will say because of your
Yeah.
years.
I said, really? Oh, really? I make sense? Then I will share my experience. That is where I think it was revelation in a way.
Yeah.
So then I did not look back. One time somebody came to me, and he was like a kind of IP, he used to come to center once in a while, and everybody used to give him a lot of respect. One time I was sitting over there, he came close to me, he said, Ram, I want to share one secret with you. I said, what? He said, you know why? Many times I come over here, I come here to see you. I was in a shock. because I thought I am an ordinary person and this person is a big person. And if he comes to look at me, he says, because I see you're always happy, you're always ready to do things and all that. I said, because I thought I am not worth anything else. They say, oh, but the smile you give to people, it is worth anything. That is where I really started to have confidence in me. So that means this life, spiritual life, evolved.
And made you
little
more
by little.
confident. Are you ever sad? I don't think I've ever seen you sad. Have you ever been sad?
You know, one time our senior, I still remember Dadi Janki.
Yeah.
She said, whatever you have, the trouble, problem, something, you should be able to drown it in your happiness. Your sadness should not go above this. From
Wow,
here
what a
onward on your
beautiful
face.
message.
It's in that way. And I also have seen, if you are sad, you're looking for sympathy, you will be disappointed. Because everybody else, they have their own
They have their own
problem.
thing.
That's right. If they see you sad, they will say, yeah, they will disappear because they're already going through so much trouble. Why they want to listen to your sadness?
I've seen that.
So that is what I find. If you're smiling, people come close to you.
So the world right now is witnessing a lot of uncertainty. You know, we've often thought that things would just continue the way it's always continued before the pandemic. There's a lot of fear, there's anxiety, mental wellness is high on the list for people to feel that way. What are your thoughts about the kind of anxiety and fear that many, many people are feeling, and what can they do to lessen the fear and the anxiety?
See, what I have seen in my life too, find somebody who's in more pain and sorrow than you are. You will be surprised to know your pain and sorrow disappear, or at least it gets subsidized. I have seen it many times. So what I talk to people many times, that in this time of pandemic, in the beginning we were happy in a way that, oh, now we are living together, we never had time for each other, now we have plenty of time to each other, but that was only for a few days. And then there was tendency to find each other's faults. Oh, I never knew you are so lazy. I never knew you are so messy. I never knew you put your things here and there. And so in other words, there is a tendency to find the faults of each other that really takes our energy. We are already suffering from that situation. On top of that, even our relationship can take a hit too. What I found was that start noting each other's qualities, so that anytime there is a situation you don't like about each other, you remember people's qualities, and also you are exposed. See, when you were working, we were meeting with each other only for short time. Now you are there forever. Better you show your best. If you want to create your impression, this is the time. Show your best so that it becomes lifelong.
So are relationships connected to anxiety and fear? Are we having fear and anxiety because there's a conscience tapping on the door of the mind that we have not been our best? Is that what you're saying?
You know, I find anxiety comes from fear of losing. But I found losing respect, losing relationship, losing my position. Those fears are what is really driving people. But I find if
losing
my life
identity.
is of giving, losing identity, I find if my life is of giving, wherever I will go, I am only going to give, then you are ready for any situation, because under every circumstances you are going to give. So I think giving takes you so much away from the anxiety of and the fear.
Yeah.
Because you, under all circumstances, you will always think, what can I do to help you?
Yeah.
Helping each other is the best way I find. Taking care, like whenever, another thing I find, anytime when I'm going through anxiety, start to do small things which you have never done. Even clean your cupboard.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, your little things. I think that's connected to when the sisters came to your house and says you're going to become a deity, that deities keep giving and humans keep taking. There's a difference.
Yes.
There's a difference in giving a smile, giving your good wish. giving $1 million, whatever. Like something. Yeah.
See, giving cannot happen unless you feel full within the self.
Yeah.
So then you don't need to give actually. It's like
just
it's
natural.
oozing out of yours.
It's just natural.
It's natural. And that is where, because when we talk about deities are the one who give.
Yeah.
That's God's DNA. The biggest God's DNA is of giving. So that means if I can say my life is for giving, give, and only give. Even people say, Ram, what you're talking about? It's a life of give and take. I say, when you're taking, you're going against your DNA. Now that is where the engineering comes handy. I say, it's not that you take even from God, but when you start to give, space is created, you start to receive from God, from nature, from circumstances. So it's a one-way traffic. You are giving and then you are receiving. You are not taking ever. So giving, and the one who gives is a deity. And giving means if you are making $100,000, work for $110,000. So you have to go completely 180 degrees.
Yeah, I
but
agree.
The world is people want to work for 80,000 and brag about 120,000. But you say, if I want to give, let me give $10,000 worth extra work. So doing something extra, that is the thing which I have done. I try to do it. That really makes me happy.
Very good advice, and I agree with you 100%. What if you don't have it to give? Where do you go to get it to give? Let's say sometimes people feel empty. Let's say in relationships between husbands and wives, you hear, I don't have any more to give you. You will hear them always say that in their marriages. Where do you go to get whatever it is to feel that you will have it to give? Because they're saying, I don't have the patience, I don't have the wisdom, I don't have the love, I don't have the peace, I don't have the energy to give you. Where do they go to get energy to be able to give?
See, we say, okay, we get the energy from God. But the question is, how God's energy come to me? It's a process that when you have a relationship with God as mother and father and child, then you feel that you are connected with close relationship with God. Then as soon as you think I am a soul, this is my body, then you become aware, what is my DNA? I carry God's DNA. So when you start to feel that I carry God's DNA, then you actually within yourself, all of a sudden you find, oh my gosh, I have so much love. Oh, I am so happy inside. I have so much peace. So when I do meditation, for me, it is basically becoming aware or awakening my DNA. When I awaken my DNA, then even little bit of I think I am a soul, this is my DNA, I am in tune with God. Then the more energy start to flow in me naturally. And when it's flowing in, ultimately when it's flowing in, it is almost like God is hitting me at the core and making it, like an explosion. When you think of explosion, that's a big thing, like a fountain. What is the fountain? From the inside, outside coming. So this is where I find that your DNA is opening up, like seed opening up and turning into a tree. Now, tree is the only thing which goes against gravity. Everything falls down with the gravity. But how it comes out of the shell. That means I have opened up my DNA. That is where the energy comes really.
Is that where the concept of tall skyscrapers came from when they looked at the example of a tree?
Could be possible.
Because it's so rooted in the earth and then it can sustain anything that it builds up?
Actually, it's very interesting thing you brought. In order to have the skyscraper, you have to have a good foundation.
Yeah.
And actually we call in New York, for example, Blue Mountains. So they had such a strong rock base, and because of that they were able to build on top of it. Everything is from bottom up approach, and actually that
really important.
Everything, majority of the things lying, because top is only a point.
Yeah.
You see. So that is where we find open secret. Everything starts from the grassroots.
Yeah, yeah. From the foundation.
Yes, from the foundation.
So you now have an additional title for almost the last 20 years of a survivor of 9/11. And as a result of living through that, you started this wonderful project, 7 Billion Acts of Goodness. Tell us about it.
See, when I had this thought, first of all, people called me angel. With very small thing I will do. When I see they screaming in the fear, there are ladies behind me, I will step back and bring them in front of me, and I will tell everything will be okay. We'll all go together. So now it is a very small thing. But for them it was very big thing, because somewhere they thought, if we will get into trouble, this person is going to help us. And they said, they were very happy. They said, Ram, you are an angel. And I'm laughing, wow, that's pretty good deal. Just go 2 steps behind and become an angel. I thought becoming an angel is a very big thing. But then what I learnt was, we only remember the famous angels who have done miracles. But I am an ordinary person. Can I become an ordinary angel? That means ordinary angel doing small things, but doing selflessly. You make yourself ready and you do the work, help people. Before anybody knows, you disappear. This is where one thing was that in the time of need, your small act of goodness become exponential, impactful. So this act of goodness came up that when I thought, I was just sharing this thing, that when I used to go to my friend's funeral, because many people died, and I was asking for justification, why did I survive? And I wanted to make myself feel I have to have a bigger purpose.
Yeah.
And the bigger purpose, then it came along, this 7 billion acts of goodness. And it started with, again, that happiness comes from goodness. And goodness is something very small but profound, that I wanted to make goodness as dynamic. As people do explosion of, means atomic energy, we do explosion of goodness. And that is how it came. What is the bottom line, or what is the critical mass that will start the chain reaction? And we thought there are 7 billion people. If everybody, start to do something, and collectively we can perform 7 billion acts of goodness, maybe that will trigger the chain reaction. And maybe we will be having the world of happiness.
Wouldn't that be beautiful? Is there an act of goodness that stands out for you that somebody did that you remember? Somebody who participated in the project and sent you a message of an act of good that somebody did that really like, oh wow, that is such a nice story. Was there one that you can pull from all the many? Because now how many, you've gotten over 1 billion acts of goodness.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I found act of goodness, the young children.
They're the ones that are doing
when, it started, like where I got really enthusiastic. I was talking to a 5-year-old boy in a school. They put me in front of 5 to 12 years old children. I said, Ram, can you share your act of goodness with them? I had never talked to people, like even talk or presentation to the children. Somehow or other I felt, whatever my experience is, I asked the children, do you remember you did something good and you felt happy? A 5-year-old told me that my mom gave me 2 lollipops. I gave one to my friend. I felt so happy. I say, even a 5-year child knows what is an act of goodness. That was my trigger point. I say, that means if a 5-year can understand what is an act of goodness. That was my very first experience in this project.
That's beautiful. So how can individuals get involved with the acts of goodness?
I feel it starts with your own self.
Yeah.
Like doing something above and beyond you will do otherwise. That is called act of goodness. So that means that supposing you made a mistake, in general people will say, oh, you have to feel guilty. But I say, guilt doesn't take me anywhere. Can I forgive myself?
So, Ram Prakash Bhai, how can individuals get involved with the 7 billion acts of goodness?
See, what I found, because it makes sense to people, it is a grassroots level.
Yeah.
That was one of the approach. It's a bottom-up approach. And bottom approach means you can start with your own self. That, for example, be nice to your own self. Because usually we are really critical of ourselves. Learning to love yourself is an act of goodness. Accepting myself as I am is an act of goodness. And if I make a mistake, if I can forgive myself, that is an act of goodness. Forgiveness doesn't mean that I am careless about myself, but I learn how to make up for it. Take the lesson and then move on. Then if I start to do that, then it will go even to other people. I will learn how to forgive other people for their mistakes. So in order to do this project, you can start with yourself, then start with the family.
Wonderful.
You can share that you go to schools, go in the organizations. And I find schools are the best place to go because the young people are so much looking for something to do good. And so you can do with the organization, you can do amongst the groups that share your experience. When you do something good, you feel happy. Because this is how the youth got involved. And so I find that common people getting involved. You don't have to have big
degrees,
kind of programs,
big money,
make money, nothing. And somehow or another, what I do it, actually, first of all, they can go to their website and we have the material ready.
Beautiful.
They can go in the download, all the material, whatever is needed to do this project, and it is available. And then you start with small thing. You never have spoken in front of the people. This is the starting point. Talk to each other, talk to people around, and do small things, but going out of the way. And what is that? Doing extra.
Beautiful.
Extra is the key thing. And then you go out, and then there is a training material. Like I myself have gone to about 700 cities, 2,500 presentations I have done, and I started with the 5-year-old boy. And so then you can start doing it, and you can inspire many people to do that, because we want to make it global, because we are looking for changing the whole world. We are building a world of happiness, and this is the blueprint. Every extra thing you do, like we build our bank account, we build the heaven brick by brick.
Beautiful. Ram Prakash Bhai, you're such an inspiration, and I think maybe this conversation that we're having, it will be so great if everybody could just participate and join you, and maybe invite you on their Zoom sessions and begin to share their 7 billion acts of goodness. And so let's make the world a golden age in space.
I promise 24 hours, even if somebody wants me to come from other country, 3 o'clock, I will get up and do it. As long as I'm not doing something else at that time, I will make myself available.
I know you will. Thank you so much for joining us on The Next Normal.
Thank you. Thank you, Sister Jenna, for having me.
Wow, that was amazing. I loved everything he said. But more than anything else, I just love his energy. And I'm sure all of you felt the same. You just wanted to come through the camera and grab him, didn't you? Well, there were times I just wanted to reach over and grab him anyway, because he's just that, cuddly and that sweet. So if you want some more information on his project, 7 Billion Acts of Goodness, go to actofgoodness.org or actsofgoodness.org and really get involved. Look, as Brother Ram Prakash said, why was he spared for 9/11? Why is it that 5 minutes after he left that building, he survived? Was it because he wanted to make this impact of change in the world, to create this critical mass of the world becoming good? Well, if each of us watching this program today go onto the website, subscribe and sign up and start to participate with this movement, What cannot happen? Everything can happen. Everything could be possible. So I hope you enjoyed our conversation today. Remember, no one can take away your happiness unless you give them permission. And we really are here to practice loving each other the same. Take care and Om Shanti.